So here we're digging out a spit of soil to have a look at the soil structure. So what we've got is we've got a spade here and we've dug round 3 sides of the spadeful. I'm just going to lift it out and pop it onto this tray. So in leaving it out, we're leaving one side that's undisturbed. So ideally, when you look at soil structure, you should really be examining the soil when it's moist, so not too dry and not too wet. So ideally, it's probably a bit dry to be looking at this now, but we're here and we'll stop and look at the soil structure. So the first thing we're doing is we're looking at how that bit of soil falls out onto a tray. And if you look here, this has fallen out with quite a nice crumbly structure. So the first thing we do is we spread that round, keeping the top soil, the top section at the top, and this is the bottom one here. So we then compare this, we're doing this as part of the visual examination of soil structure, which gives guidelines on how to score different soil structures. There's a score of 1 to 5, with 1 being the most open and friable, and 5 being the one that's very compact. So first of all, we spread it out, we keep the top at the top, so sort of the top 10 centimetres and the bottom section there. And then we go through, I'd take a picture of this like this, and then I'd go through it and look and just gently break down those bigger aggregates. Ideally just trying to, not applying too much force, but just breaking them down with one hand. Some of these do feel a bit tighter. I think it's possibly because it's a bit drier than ideal. So the soil's dry and there's a bit of clay in this as well. So just move over this and just gently see. So I mean, that one there, you see that breaks down really nicely into a really nice crumbly structure. I think this one will as well. So just gently breaking that down. And then we compare what we've got here with the soil card here. Generally, what we found at this site is I think the top layer of soil is generally scoring about a 2, which is intact, and the bottom section is generally scoring sort of 2.5 to 3. The other thing that we look at when we're looking at the soil, looking at the aggregates and looking at the shape of them as well. When you have more angular aggregates like that, that is an indication of slight compaction or firmness in the soil, when they're slightly sharper edges, more angular. But we've also just been breaking up the aggregates, seeing how easily they break up with the hand, and also importantly looking to see the structure within them. And as you can see here, we have got roots going through this one here. So although does feel a bit tighter, that might just be a reflection of the fact it's drier, because you have got some roots there as well. So we've dug this soil pit in this broccoli field just to have a look at soil structure. We've dug the pit to about 50 centimetres depth, and we've dug it close to these plants here because we're particularly interested in looking at the rooting in the plants. The key thing that we're looking at is trying to see what's happening to the roots, because that's the best indicator of soil compaction. What you're really looking for is any indication that the roots are going. If you see any of the roots going sideways, horizontally at all, that's indicating that they're perhaps hitting some compaction, and that's affecting root growth. But importantly, what we can see here is these roots are all going down through the soil, nicely down through the soil. And even some of these sort of more dense aggregates at the bottom, when we've been breaking them apart, we've still been able to see the roots going through them. If you look here, I think looking at this top soil here, I think you can see it's quite a nice open crumbly structure. I'll try and leave a bit off here. It's sort of falling apart quite nicely, and those top bits of soil, you can see they're breaking down quite nicely in my hand. There, you see the roots going through them. There's possibly some indication, if you look here, we can see this probably more nicely open structure in the top there. It does look a bit denser from about that depth there, and that might be sort of slight tightness further down below sort of plough depth. But it's a bit tricky to look at that now, as I said, because it's a bit dry. But the key thing here is that the roots are going down through the soil, and we can't see any indication that compaction is inhibiting root growth here. So if you're thinking about cultivations and whether you've got compaction in your soil, I think digging your soil pit, looking at the soil structure, looking at the aggregates, and if you've got a crop in, looking at the rooting is really helpful.